and gentlemen, it's Vaughn here. Welcome to the Cha-Cha Masterclass. Fantastic to have you here. We have a massive day. Get ready, get ready. I have a lot to bring you. This class is perfect for the starter, beginner level Cha-Cha dancer. But if you've been around a while and you just need a little refresher on what you want to do next, this is absolutely going to be the lesson for you if you're looking to get to that next level. Put it this way, if you want to be great, you have to master the basics. Right, now here's the thing. Don't get confused by the word basic. Basic doesn't mean simple. People often forget this. They think, I know that basic. Do you now, right? We'll find out because I'm learning every single day. I love teaching these classes. Between you and me, I get a little bit like nervous because there's so much content, right? And part of my job is to strip it back and give you sort of the nuts and bolts. And I'm gonna do that over the next 4 lessons, okay? So today we're gonna look at rhythm, how to count cha-cha, then I'll introduce you to the proper poise that you wanna always have in your mind that you're going to maintain. I'll introduce you to the fundamentals of Cuban motion and hip action. We're gonna look at your feet, the parts of the feet we use. Then the 4 main walks that you need to do in cha-cha-cha, which in my estimation, combined with the chasses, which are the 2 main ones we're also gonna do at the end of the lesson, with those in place, you will have enough to do 90% of the steps within cha-cha. And here's the thing about basics, okay? Basics are not simple. Why? Because of the depth under them. So although there might be only, let's just say there's a handful of principles across movement and dancing, the layers under it are quite extensive, right? So that's where mastery kicks in. It's understanding that the development of those basics, the continuous repetition of doing it correctly from the start is very, very important. Now, what happens over time is, what's the saying? Basics are difficult to execute, but the advanced dancer executes them always, right? So keep that in your mind. And the more time that goes on, the more that you actually go to develop your dancing, you have to come back to this lesson. So although it's realistically for a beginner, meaning I want to set you up for success from the start, like I do with all my students, the layout I'm going to give you carries forward into the next lesson, the next one, and of course for the rumba. I was sort of toiling whether we do the rumba first because realistically, that's a really good one to start with in terms of walks, but either way, they'll work together because the dancers do actually marry up. Obviously, they're from the same country, which is Cuba, and they're just basically brother and sister in a way. That's the way to think of it. Okay, so are you ready? Because I am, and we'll find out how this goes. Hopefully everything comes together. Leave me a comment and question below. If there's any issues as we go through this, because it is live, let me know in the window so I can figure it out. At the end of this, we're gonna have a live segment call-in section. There's a link there. You will be able to join me as well, and then bring in the questions, maybe even show some dancing if you have the guts. And we will move into the first segment, which is gonna be counting cha-cha. Okay, all right, my friends, the cha-cha timing. So there's a few things in here that I want to layer for you. First of all, can you count the cha-cha? How do you rate yourself as a counting dancer? So one of the skills that you'll need, and remember with dancing, you've got multiple things happening at the same time. You have your posture, you have your routine, you have the music, there's people around you. So there's always things going on, lots of stimuli. But if you're to look at what you're in control of, you're in control of your body, we hope. That's what today will help you with. You are also in control of counting. Now, this is where people get confused because they'll often count inside. You are not counting inside. You are thinking of something else. Maybe, what am I going to have for dinner later? Ah, that person's dress looks nice. Or you're just like blank. Unless you're counting out loud, during practice, not all the time, there's certain moments you don't want to count, obviously. If you're not counting out loud, my belief is you're not counting at all. And so what's happening is you're not learning to associate the steps with the actual movements and the figures, okay? So remember, what we're trying to do here is get our 4 basic walks and our chasses to be freaking amazing, okay? We want them to be amazing so we can have things like this happen. Yeah. I remembered the button. Yes, I did. Okay, so with that in mind, counting is going to be a skill that you must discipline yourself to do and more than likely you're going to suck at first. So let's do a little deep dive. I have a graphic we're about to use from an extract of 2 programs I run. One is called Ballroom Mastery Academy, which is coming up soon. So if you'd like to RSVP for your place, and I'll send an invitation and an application for that to join. It isn't for everyone, and it's a high investment of money and time. Once you go through that 6-week course with me, there's something called Ballroom Mastery Academy Next Level. I had a student tell me recently, they were like, if the first BMA is like, you know, high school or college, then the next level is like university, because there's a lot. It's like a 12-week program after it. So there's a part in there I'm going to extract on counting and music, and you'll see there's actually development of counts. Now, in the beginning stages, you just need to know what I call the base time or the base count. Then there's an alternate count we can use, which really helps with developing rhythm. Rhythm, baby, is the key. And then there is an advanced count, which starts to get you into understanding when do you actually change your body weight in cha-cha. And we add a count in that is not associated with steps. So please keep in mind, when we're looking to do a cha-cha movement, so for example, today, we will have a basic pattern. It will go from a time step, all right, with our chasse. Now, each of these have a count to them, right? 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1. Now, the thing about these counts, when you add advanced timing in, we're not going to add extra steps. We will add an extra and an extra which relates to transferring weight foot to foot and the body development in terms of the upper body rhythm, okay? So when we look at this graphic, I'll bring it on now. Here we go, boom. Okay, so here, this is some of the basic concepts that I want you to understand. Do you need to remember all of this? No, but this will help formulate why we do what we do when you're going along. And by the way, remember, because this is recorded, you get the chance to come back to this. Thank you, technology. All right, so first things first, very basic, time signature just means there's 4 beats to a bar, as you can see across the top there. And we've got a split beat there in the middle, which we'll talk about in a second. The tempo, that's just the speed at which your body is driving. So we've got 28 to 30 bars per minute. We don't measure in beats per minute like you do with, say, EDM and techno music, all right? So bars per minute, meaning 4 beats in a bar, right? So we've got that per minute. That's the speed at which the music's played. Here is the thing I want you to understand about this. And by the way, there's going to be a lot of content on this. All right. From top to bottom, what we're doing, each of these could be a separate masterclass, but we'd be here forever, and we'd all be old and gray by the time we got through this. So the idea here is that when you understand the tempo, when the tempo changes, like the speed goes back down versus up, so slower, not faster, you have to understand how to adjust your dancing to the tempo. And this is where dancing slower is often harder, even though it's counterintuitive. You think, slow it down, Born. It's way easier when it's slower. No, it's not, because you still have to keep the same rhythm, okay? You still have to keep the same timing, which is what the split beat and the accents are about. Okay, so just keep in mind, the technique we are learning in cha-cha or any dance was created to match the music. I'm gonna say that again. The technique was created to match the speed of the music, okay? So, and if you suck with your endurance, you need to do something about that and get fitter. Now, base counts are how we start in cha-cha. Now, here, I didn't like how I wrote this, but I had to make, I had to make a quick adjustment. Let me do this on the fly and live, because I actually, I had a draft of this, and I think I uploaded the draft. And here we go. So, because there is a couple little things that are missing, which are not good. There we go. Right. So, okay, there we go. The accents were updated. And here, look, it's better to start on 1. I need to explain this for everyone here, okay? So, are you listening? Are you watching? Okay. When it comes to the, what was it called there? The base counts. See how it says 2, 3, 4, and 1? Now, when you learn, all the figures in cha-cha start on count 2. Here's one of the issues with Latin dancing and teachers generally across the world who haven't picked up a technique book and never read a technique book, but have maybe become proficient and good from competing for medals, but they've never studied the technique, which stunningly enough, a lot of teachers do not do. Now, here's the thing. When you see in the technique book count 2, that is not the accent that we're looking to hit in cha-cha. Music starts with count 1. That's right, people. It starts on beat 1. We go 1, then 2, 3. Now, all figures in cha-cha are starting on count 2 in the technique book, but it's presumed beat 1, has the accent. And that's, so here I've written it in a way that I probably don't like that much, but that's for the figures, yeah? We're gonna start on count 1, and that's what you have to keep in mind. Beat values. Now, beat value, simple way to think about beat value is how do we use that beat of music to perform a movement or rhythm or dance or step. So, for example, if we count, 2, 3, 4, and 1, let's divide that up. We go 2 is 1 beat, 3 is 1 beat, 4 and is what we call a split beat. Please write that down, split beat. This is literally the key for your beginners right now. You have to understand the split beat rhythm. Then 1 is a whole beat. So it goes whole beat, half, half, 1, right? Whole beat, half, half, whole again. And so that is where we're going to move with in terms of developing rhythm today, understanding that dum, do, 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 do feeling. Okay. Alternate rhythms. This is really cool. So there's a nice little secret tip to count cha-cha, and that is slow, slow, quick, quick, slow. Again, the quick, quick representing those little half beats. And here, the accents. Now, what's an accent? It isn't a bad accent, eh? You know what I mean? You're not trying to put an accent on it. We'll stop that. The first and third beat. Now, realistically, the first and third. So beat 1, in a way, an accent you can think of in cha-cha as the strongest beat. Now, does it mean that you are violent on that beat? No. It's not. So here, let me exemplify what happens when you first learn to dance. Okay, as in with the waltz masterclass we did, you learn to step, not swing. Okay, so when we do cha-cha, what ends up happening with people is they do all the steps and then everything is the same exact tempo and speed in the feet. There's no rhythm. I might be doing the actual movements, but there's no rhythm. So what happens with our, if I bring this back up a moment. So what happens with our accents is it allows us, so let's look at this in 2 ways, all right? We'll get the pattern going in a second, but again, this framework's very important. So if I count this, 1, and then go forward, say 2, 3, 4, and 1 as my rhythm, or even simpler just on the side, 1, then 2, 3, 4, and 1. See, everything's the same speed, right? No rhythm. Now, if I add in the whole beats and the half beat, so whole beat, whole beat, oh my God. Whole beat, whole beat, whole beat, half, half, whole beat, whole beat, whole beat, half, half, whole beat, whole beat, whole beat, half, half. You can see now I'm injecting rhythm because I've split up count 4, right? Now, when we look at the accent, this is where, imagine speaking a sentence, all right, and you're having a speech, and you put no commas, which is a way of thinking of breathing, to take a moment in between your sentence, and a full stop where you take an absolute pause. Something I absolutely struggle to do, as you'll notice on my complete 1-hour-long talks. So in terms of dancing, an accent can be used similar. And what this does is it provides you a way to create really, really rhythmical dancing, even if you are brand new, because you understand there's something different going on. And honestly, this is not really natural. So what we're trying to move from is everything looking the same to putting in the little cha-cha chasse with the actual split beat. And then we want to hit the accents. So if I go through the accents, I would go 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1. So you can see now what's happening. We're layering it and give it some color, put some spice up on your boring plain ass meal, right? It's all coming together because of understanding this particular idea of counting. Now, what we'll do together, see here these last 2 things, weight transfer counts and next level counts. This is the development of dancing. So if you are in the stages of moving from, say, the beginner level, equivalent of, say, bronze to silver, which is like intermediate to gold would be, intermediate to advanced, and then above that, sort of getting into dance sport territory, not low level competing though, sort of more A grade. This weight transfer count is something you want to pay attention to early. So this and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, just so you know, we're not referencing the rhythm. What we're doing is putting that in as a really quick, again, this is all a big overview, right? So what we're doing is we're going and to tell our body to do, say, a settling action, and then we're starting to move off it. So it's like and 1 and 2 and a 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and a 4 and 1. The and part is where in my brain I'm trying to figure out where my weight should be on the and count, not actually related to what's it called, the step itself, like where the feet should go. All right. So again, that, like I've got a broad audience here of all different levels. That is definitely something you want to do to learn how to control yourself. Okay. These next level counts is absolutely for the advanced dancer. This is where shit gets super complicated because you got to be real precise. Now, there's lots of training online. I've been looking, I'm on YouTube all the time, right? I run a channel here and I look at what other people are doing. That there's so much information about, Cuban action, hip action, things like that. One of the issues is that you need to build to a lot of that information because it's assumed you can do half of this, right? So just as a little thing there for anyone who's inspired and aspiring to move forward in their dancing at a high level to really truly become an advanced dancer, there's an count that we put into our dancing, which represents the body action. So what happens and what's happened over time with cha-cha particularly, and I say particularly, I mean Latin American as an overall thing, it has developed like amazingly over the 50 years. So a lot of this technique comes from Walter Laird's Latin technique, and part from the ISTD, the Imperial Society Teachers of London. So those two, Walter Laird sort of formulated, the freaking genius, man, put all this stuff in a book that we still use today to compete and do tests with. Now, what happens from the technical perspective is that as time went on, we moved basically hips only to the feet with very minimal upper body stuff. And do you know why? It's because, you like my little sway? It's because the gentleman wore a dinner suit, like super fancy, yeah? And they couldn't lift their like arms above the shoulders, right? So a lot of the dancing in the 60s was like, like a sway action, yeah? Like that feeling. Very nerdy. You imagine that, like dude's got like a cigarette in his mouth, a little scotch there. Just out in the town with the mistress this evening having a dance. Anyway, so you've got this restriction on movement. And then you have the 90s with Donnie Burns and Gaynor Fairweather, who started to, because the lady had more hips, basically, moving than the man did, he then decided, we're going to both do it as much as each other, but in a different way, masculine, feminine type thing. And then that became standard. And then you look a little later from the 90s on where the upper body rhythm started to come into the dancing. Upper body means, shoulders, rib cage, and everything above the hips. And what ended up happening is the development of the upper body, all right, started to come in, how we move through the rib cage, warm, like using the upper body to create ripples and things like that. That didn't happen, 50 years ago, 60 years ago, 40 years ago, even in the 80s. Look at the cat suits of the 80s. Oh my God. You want to see some funny shit? Google Latin dancing in the 80s, some condom suits, man, like the races were in slalom. It's crazy. So I'm glad that that's changed. But what's happened now is a huge development upper body rhythm, right? So you see so many like, whoa, huge movements. The thing you got to remember is that development, it comes back to counting, and I'll get there in a second, but that development there is what so many people focus on, and they don't realize the foundation is still here. It's why you go to a workshop with any dancer of consequence. They're going to be working on strong feet, which is what we're going to do today, strong walks, use of the thighs, use of the hips, right? And of course, the upper body relating to that. Now, here's what get ready for this. I'm dropping fucking bombs for y'all, so you better like this. I hope you're enjoying it. Please support the channel, help me out, be a Patreon, well, you're not actual on Patreon, but like a supporter of the art sort of thing. But here's what happens, right? When you dance and you learn from the beginning, you learn feet up to about hips. This is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years sort of thing. Then you're like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years, all right, to get the whole body working in coordination. Here's what happens when you become an advanced dancer, which is relating to the counts. You go from upper body back down. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 20, the rest of your life, right? So you end up having this point where you, instead of moving your feet, which is, beginner stuff, just moving feet only, then the hips over time, you start to use the body first, then the foot, boom, right? And the body again, then the foot, then the transference, right? And here's what also happens. And get ready for this. It's so important you understand this. When you watch YouTube, when you're watching YouTube and you're seeing someone give a lecture who is really good and they're talking about using their feet like super articulated, bang, smashing the knees and all that, you're allowed to do that at the advanced level because it's called giving yourself a creative license. You take the technique and you make it yours. The man shapes the chasses the way he chooses. The lady decides to dance a certain way. Where does it come from, folks? Where on fuck's earth does it come from? The fundamentals, okay? You can't just do that without understanding what we're about to talk about today. So when we move into the chasses, when we move into the locks, please understand if they sound different to what you're used to, you'll probably find this shit way easier to do, number one. But number two, often people just go with what they know, not where it's come from. And that's where I like to go, is first principles thinking. I love bottom-up thinking as well. So that's sort of where I'm at. Doesn't mean it's the right way to go. I think it is. I really do. I think the way you approach it can be very different. Now, when we look at advanced dancing, that count is all about your upper body here, shoulder weight settling, rib cage action moving back and forward, so left and right, all of that movement beginning to then settle through the hips, right? Develop a strong connection through the floor, boom, into your partner, bang. And the 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. You start to get the whole body working. So when you see anything to do, I know it's a lot of information. Oh my God, I'm hitting buttons. Anyway, so that advanced counting there, don't even worry about it. Just know it exists and know it's a goal for you in the future. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to start counting together, and we're just going to use our base counts. I hope you're enjoying the overview of these things. I'm going to put a little link in the window, by the way, small miniature ad break before we start counting together. Hopefully none of my stuff dies. I would like you all to go and whack your email in when this is done for War Mastery Academy. Let's see if that actually worked. There you go. The link should be in the window. Hit that up at the end. Okay, so, right, let's do a count together, a counting exercise. So first of all, without the music, count with me. So we'll count with 1 first. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1. Count 2, 3, 4, and 1. Now I need you to take the apple of count 4, split it in half. Bang, so you've got 2 halves. And we're going to count it like that, with a bit of inflection in our voice because we're not boring us dancers, right? Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1. 2, 3, 4, and 1. Okay, let's do that to music. Hit it, DJ. No problem. No problem. Bailar con mi corazón. Bailar con mi corazón. Now, I just need to preface this. There's something called latency when it comes to the internet. Latency means the time between which I speak or any video comes through and the sound. There's actually a gap because they're 2 separate feeds on the internet, right? You have the video and the sound coming across together. Sometimes the latency affects it, and it can be by just milliseconds. Sometimes it could be by like even a second. A second's huge though, but YouTube has a latency between my computer, internet coming to you. Now that audio can sometimes be a little bit back. So you might see me count 1 and it's like count 2. So you need to just be aware this is a little hard to line that perfectly up. So I'll do my best to count, I'll count correctly as much as I hear it. But if there's any slight delay, it's because of that latency, okay? So just be aware. So what I'll do is I'll count a little bit, then I'll pause it, and I'll let you continue, all right, as best as possible. Here's what you're looking for. You're listening for the before you start counting, like a cha-cha sound, so the 4 and, or you're looking for the strong accent on 1, all right, to get going. So percussive accents are very slight on count 2, by the way. I didn't mention that on count 2. And then on the 4th beat, where the split beat is, you can definitely hear that percussive accent. So if anything, it's beat 1 and beat 4 is what you're actually listening for. So let me get some of that music up for you all. And 2, 3, 4, and 1. 2, 3, 4, and 1. 2, 3, 4, and 1. Okay, now what we'll do, we're going to clap, and I'm going to get you to clap. And if you're in the office place right now, good, do this. Scare the shit out of your coworker. Be like, just behind their head, please, and let me know. With our clap, 2, 3, 4, and 1. 2, 3, 4, and 1. Right, and you can then, of course, stamp your feet, boom, to get that feeling. Let's do it again. Here we go. Here we go. Last one, let's count the alternate count of slow, slow, quick, quick, slow. Here we go. By the way, again, those weight transfer counts, the next level counts, just use those for practice counts. They're really fast to count out loud. Okay, here we go. Let's do the slow, slow, quick, quick, slow. Ready? So again, slow is going to be beat 1. 2, 3, 4, and 1. Slow, slow, quick, quick, slow, 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 quick, quick, slow, 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 quick, quick, slow, 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 quick, slow, 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 quick, 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 quick, slow. I felt like I just had like a bit of a seizure then. So like, I was going to the side and I couldn't quite get on there. I was thinking of something with this slow, slow, quick, quick, slow. So when you hit that first slow, right, you need to delay. Then slow, slow, like on the spot, keeping that rhythm, and then quick, quick, slow to feel that chasse, right? Keep that in mind. I found with teaching beginners that the slow, slow, quick, quick, slow method is actually a really fast way of feeling the rhythm, almost a bit more than the 4 and 1. Anyway, with all that in mind, it's now on to the next segment, which is going to be about poise and posture and weight. So if you're liking this, please make sure that you leave a comment, leave a question, share it with your dance friends, and let us move. All right, my friends, boom. So the pattern is coming with what we're going to do. And over the next couple of lessons, we are going to build onto that pattern, but it will all stem from today's lesson. So you have a week or 7 days or whenever you're watching this to go back through this content to understand the layering of this, right? So we've got the counts being what we're aiming for, and a rhythm we're now going to be developing throughout all of this, yeah? The question then becomes, how on earth do you stand? How does one stand in the old Latin posture, right? So for those who do 10 dance, which is what I specialized in myself, let me just bring something up here. So 10 dance is, as professional 10 dance, we did the world championships several times. That was a very cool thing to do. The disciplines over all 10 dances, 5 ballroom and 5 Latin. Now, when it comes to looking at the differences between the dancers at an advanced level, there is differences in the posture, right? So you'd hold your posture a little differently in the waltz than you would the slow foxtrot. You also create a different walk in the waltz than you would the slow foxtrot. So it all might look the same. It's not, because it's about weight transference to music at the end of the day. That's what all dancing is about. So when it's not what it's all about, but you know what I'm saying? I'm looking at this from a technical and mechanical perspective, not there's the emotion and the expression and the artistry and the passion and the feels, man, which is not technical at all, right? So when we're looking at how we hold our body, our poise, it does vary. And the way to think about this at a beginner level is it's basically going to be held the same for your rumba and cha-cha, and then you carry that through for your samba and jive. What we're looking to do is very simple, right? When we look at poise in and of itself, is the relationship of your pelvis and your upper body and your spine. So we're looking at the same idea as we did in the Waltz Masterclass. If you're there, do that little run on the spot, okay, to get your pelvis aligned, because one of the big problems here is you can have your butt out, okay? Now, even though your ass might be out, you might have a fine ass. You might be, look at this thing. Look, it sizzles when I touch it and my fingers dry, right? You might be like that. Okay, fair enough. But your ass is out. You're not going to create this fucking real weird rhythm. I'm not even going to do it because this is on YouTube. But the idea is that you need to maintain the pelvis in its most natural position, meaning no anterior or posterior tilt, right? So it can't be tucked under or tucked back. You're trying to keep it in the natural position. Do a little run to get that thing under you. The next thing is understanding your shoulder line. So the big problem is once you start moving through your hip action, which is the next lesson after this posture one, is you start moving your hips, you'll find your shoulders start getting fucking involved. Like, God damn it. The shoulders are not your hips. Just to say that again for those people out there anatomically retarded, right? The shoulders are not your hips. The shoulders are not your hips. And the shoulders are not your hips. So when you move your hips, do not let your shoulders go. What you must do with your shoulders, again, we're not looking at advanced training here. We're not talking about like creating rhythm. We are looking at the basics of understanding movement. Your shoulders are parallel to your feet, okay? They relax. Now, if you move your hips, the shoulders are not your hips. The shoulders should not be moving, okay? They're relaxed. They shouldn't be tight and stiff, right? So we're aiming to keep that relaxed. The head is chill. It's still, right? Still chill head, shoulder line as well. Now, don't get me wrong. There might be some, like, if I've been dancing a long time, my shoulders might create a little bit of what's up body rhythm. Okay, so it's not like stiff and then just only the legs, yeah? Here's the thing though, I've seen this enough times that things start to get real weird real quick. So when it comes to your poise, you have your pelvis in its most natural position, you have your upper body weight diagonally up and forward. So again, just do this. Put your weight into your heels for me, right? Now put it in the middle of your feet. Now put it towards the balls of your feet. Now put it towards your toes. Okay. Notice where my body angle is, yeah? So we aim to keep our weight sort of between the balls and the toes, but it's very natural, so I'm not gonna lean like a lot, right? The idea though is that we keep it there, and then I can move my body through a center and then shift foot to foot. Now we'll get to this in the Cuban stuff in a second, but the idea is that we're not collapsing and leaning backwards, right? And then getting the CD Sanchez like, hey, you wanna dance, right? No, we don't want to dance with that, right? So you wanna keep the body up and forward, head still. All right, sounds like a lot. Because here's the thing: people forget to breathe. They're like, "Oh my God, you are amazing when in this rumble." Oh yeah, what's up, Jay Clover? Yeah, I'm gonna put that in the window. I am a shoulder dancer, legend. Yeah, I know sometimes I'm gonna insult people because I swear a lot, but I give a fuck, right? It's my channel, goddammit. But yeah, dude, I love that you admitted that. That's brilliant because everything that I'm talking about is what I've done and worked through, okay? I have videos to show you how bad for years. Still working on it, right? But how I've done all these mistakes, right? So the shoulder dancing real thing. Now, let's just bring it in order, right? So whenever you start, just like in ballroom dancing, set yourself up, right? Get your hips in a good position, right? Find your weight over your feet, which we'll talk about in a second, and your shoulders are relaxed. No banana back, no weird posture, just up and forward. Okay, with that in mind, you can move, right? So the body must be able to relax and move in this part. The next little thing to think about with the poise is what's it called? The center, right? So the center of your body, if you can feel it like this. So if you take your hands and put them on your rib cage, yeah, and I want you to expand your rib cage out. Okay. When people are told to stand up, what do you reckon they do? They do that, right? They go, this, you will not be able to dance like this. It's not natural, right? So you have to let the shoulders, right, relax. They're relaxed, so the arm movements can be free. But you want to feel, and look, I have a very thick, thanks parents, of a big chest, you know what I'm saying, right? So that's natural for me. So you have to try to round through the base of your, what's it called, the rib cage. So the rib cage pokes out, yeah? So you're trying to bring that in to your center without collapsing, and you certainly don't round your back to do this, right? So there's this constant feeling of like you're being hugged around your stomach like that. And so when you move and create hip action, which we'll do again in a second, you want to feel that area is being brought together, right? And then you use your hips like a certain way, shoulders are relaxed, yeah? But the shoulders are not going with the movement, okay? You're dancing under the armpits. Think of just dancing under the shoulder blades, yeah? So again, the poise is, you've got the hips in their natural position, the shoulders are parallel to the feet, and then from here, you then bring your body around your center, yeah? And so it's that way you're not poking out and expanding backwards. Now you do that, you're gonna find it might work for you, might feel okay, but it's gonna look funny too. And honestly, your balance will be affected at high speed, won't it? So with that in mind, a little exercise for that will come up in a second with our, what you call it, the hip thing. Yeah. Okay, so here's what we'll do. I'll get you to just split your weight, little turn out in the feet are coming, and then actually do a little run, it's probably better. Then get your feet apart. All right. And I just want you to shift your weight foot to foot for a second, okay? Don't worry so much about the hips yet, because we'll get there. And as you do that, just notice if your shoulders are starting to turn or be weird, and just notice if your arms can hang loose, all right? Lastly, the ribs, like someone's poking your sternum. So you're not actually gonna get completely on one foot or the other, right? You're just gonna swing the hips side to side. It's called lateral movement, right? All right, so if I go in front of you here, put your finger into your sternum, and that sort of help, side on's probably a bit better. So that'll help you to realize when you move if you're starting to adjust. Because why do you do that, by the way? Do you know why? So if you create a movement, so let's say you're doing real well, like you're like, okay, I can stand like this, and then you go to move and it all collapses. The reason it collapses is not only because of, say, training, improper training, your body not being used to it. Your body's constantly trying to counterbalance because gravity is always around, all right? So obviously. But the idea is that you're not aware of the fact that this force is trying to make you collapse. And so when we have posture, what ends up happening is we move and then the body tries to support that movement the easiest way possible. When you learn to dance properly, you're fighting against what's natural for you, which might mean bad ways of counterbalancing to shift your weight. And then when you see the trained dancer who spent years in front of a mirror, you know, just going, what's up? Or years on the floor training, they have gotten so much body awareness in there because they've developed what's now a natural effect, right? And they learn to counterbalance effectively. When your body can counterbalance properly with all of these principles, you then have the most efficient movement, which has no tension unless you want it, and it has no fighting unless you want that, and then it has no, what's it called? You have the ability to move basically like water. It's an amazing feeling when you start to get this. And that's why the posture and your weight principles are so vital to master, because whatever you do, it does not matter. It does not matter your choreography. That makes no sense. That English was terrible. Your choreography does not matter, right? In the sense of, in fact, it can completely blow you out if you are not equipped enough for the advanced movements because you suck with your poise, your hip action. You don't even know the first thing about where your weight should be. And then you attempt this choreography and it's like, oh, my partner's pulling me around too much or pushing me off balance and stuff. Well, so yeah, because you're not on balance yourself, right? So please understand these fundamentals are actually that vital. And if you are an advanced dancer who's struggling with advanced choreography, this is the stuff you go back to help you, okay? This will help you, but you've got to take the time to do it and you've got to go slowly. In fact, slow is great. Listen, we're going to move into now the next part of this. Is there one more thing about weight I'd like to mention? There sure is. Let's talk about 3 terms that you will hear. I might mention them, so I'll mention them now. We have full weight, part weight, and minimal weight. So real quick, full weight, stand on your left leg. Full weight is on the left leg, yeah? All right, point your right leg. That's minimal weight. So there's like, say, 5-10% of pressure on this foot, 95-90% on this one. And part weight is literally in the middle. It is important to understand part weight is that vertical line in the middle of the feet, 50-50 weight. That's the names of those terms, and they will matter when we start doing our walks. Okay, hope you're having fun. Water time, comment time, question time. Let's do the next. All right, y'all. It's amazing. I love this. I'm having so much fun. So when we look at hip action, first of all, the history of the dance. So of course, lots of technique going on here. When we look at the idea of any dance you do, you have the top level of it. The dance is the cha-cha. What is the cha-cha? Okay, it's a Cuban dance. What is its character and its rhythm? That is the main thing, right? Under that, then you have the technique and the steps in the technique of what portray the rhythm and the character of the dance. Yeah. So with that, so this is why you don't want to get like I teach technique for this reason, right? But to be fair, it only makes up for like 7 to 10% of your entire dancing, right? It's what allows you to access though the rhythm and the character of the dance. So when we look at the hip action is different to that of the jive because of the character and the rhythm of the dance and its history, right? And what it's representing. Because at the end of the day, it's an art, right? We're looking to dance and create a certain shape, a certain aesthetic, a certain story to be conveyed. Yeah, that's the artistry and the expression. So all this technique does is allow you to access all the mechanics, right, how you move your body to music, to then do all of those things, right? So when you look at Cuban action, you got to think, what the hell is this? Okay, it's the figure of 8. So the idea is that the hips themselves, pelvis here, thighs here, the two relate together. And the shoulders are not your hips, are they, JC Clover? No, they're not, right? So we're going to work the hips in a certain way that will be different to maybe the samba, all right? And we can do it in isolation, so we're just doing the hips, hips and thighs. And then you aim to add the upper body as well, all right? If you want to think about it like this, we have several hip movements that will come up in terminology again and again. We have settling actions, rotational actions, and then lateral actions. There is another one too. I mean, we can contract and expand. So it's basically the main movements. Incredibly useful, thank you. You're welcome, man. Yeah. Like this is, but just so you're aware, like I'm a massive dance nerd. I had to strip back so much content to be like, let's keep this here for this level. And then I can assure you, we can go so deep, not only on these, but there's heaps of other principles we haven't talked about, but these are the ones that matter, right, for this level. So always remember, you can join my programs, you can ask me to work with you. There's lots of great things we can do, and my specialty is being able to figure out what your level is and take you to the next level, because it's not a shotgun approach. You cannot just give the same information to everyone and expect it to work. So, okay, let's look at the idea of these hip actions. All right, so let's just do them together. It's pretty fun to do. In fact, where are we at? We'll just get some of this half body action going on. What's up? So if we look at the hips, all right. So again, we'll do it like this actually. So we'll go part weight with the feet. So weight's in the middle. Okay. Where am I going to do? I'm going to do the angles there. Okay. So shift the weight foot to foot, just the hips going literally left and right. So that action there, that's lateral action, and we use that a lot on our chasse. Ya da da. Okay, whoop, coming out of frame. So yan dun da, okay, da da da. So that's our lateral action in terms of the hips. They're going side to side. Neutral's in the middle. So always remember, there's a neutral point always that we have to arrive at in dancing. We don't like arrive in weird positions and stay there. All right, so there's neutral. Now that's lateral, side to side. Settling actions. Settling actions. Let's go side on here. So settling action is put your weight on, say, your left leg, and then pull out of that hip. Now, the hip itself settles down, right? So you'll feel the weight go into the leg because the hip, it's called displacing, the hip displaces. That's a settling action. Now, the thing about rumba and cha-cha is we use a settling action to create a movement. So if I want to move forward or backward, I'll create a settling action, then I'll move my leg. All right, this is what I was saying about working from the feet to the hips. So we create a settling action, warm, and then the hip displaces, and then we move into position, right? So this is why we don't arrive on a settled hip, because you can't move. So the term settling is vital for you to know how to start to move the hips. All right. The other one is rotational. So actually, let's just do it like this. We'll close the feet. So you can use your hips in a certain way. So you can just feel, if you bend one knee and you say pick up the foot, you're going to feel the hip settling. That's what that action means. And that we use that to then move. And by doing that, you also create the rhythm and the look, yeah? All right. The next thing is rotational actions. This is something that we're going to practice now. This will be the exercise for this particular lesson, and it will be creating a figure of 8 with your hips. Classic cha-cha. I'd be surprised if you haven't done this, but it's the thing you need to develop and practice pretty much every single day. Now, I'll caveat this and say, you're going to feel very stiff when you do this correctly. That's a good thing. If you are hyperflexible, you might have a problem of doing too much, right? The hips just move too much. So depending on your body style, you just have to be aware there is a perfect range for your body. That's not the same as anyone else's. Your body is unique. The way you move is unique. So our technique is giving a license to do it. So we're not trying to do maximum range, because that just looks horrible, right? So just because you can do it doesn't mean you should. But what you will do is push your body if it's uncomfortable. That's very, very important to learn. Right. So figure of 8. What is a figure of 8 in the hips? So we look at it like this. Again, weight, part weight. Just find it comfortable with that shoulder width. We take the right hip out, and we bring the right hip back. We take the left hip out, and we bring the left hip back. So doing that, going up and back, and then up and back, creates a figure of 8. Now again, I'll just draw this one more time before we do it as a little exercise. Where is my thing? Boom. Okay, so here is the figure of 8, all right? The middle of that, that's your spine, okay? So what we're doing is we're going that way first, then that way, and then we're cutting across, and then we're coming back, and then coming back there, all right? Look at this art, amazing. So again, you're facing forward, right? The hell does that look like from above? Anyway, so that's a bit of strange action. So can I fit into that? Anyway, we'll just try this together. I bet you ain't seen a lesson like this before. Right, okay, anyway, so I'm going up and forward, then pulling it back, up and forward, then pulling it back, up and forward. So yep, da 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 da. Shoulders forward and relaxed. Do-dum, do-do-dum. Now you can use your thighs by softening the knee as you rotate just a little bit. So you bend the knee or compress it just a touch, you'll find the hips move better, all right? And that action there, that is our Cuban action. Again, we can use different types of Cuban action in terms of the hips going sideways or lateral, and of course the settling action, right? So if you understand how to train that on a daily basis, you will notice a huge difference and an automatic response to doing chasses properly. Your hips start to function without you having to be too intense about it, right? Now, again, slow is good. In terms of the counts, here's how it works. Do you remember your cha-cha count? So with the feet apart, we're gonna go here. This will go count 2. So 2, then 3, then 4 and 1. Well, sorry, I did that like a rumba. So we go 2, 3, then 4 and 1. 2, 3, 4 and 1. 2, 3, 4 and 1. So I am not sure why I just got rid of that green screen, but I just realized it's probably a good idea to draw that to help you understand the counts. Okay, so 2, 3, then what was it? 4 and 1. I think I went like that. So 2, 3. No, that was 3. 2, 3. Then the 4's back here. 2, 3. Holy shit. You know what? I'm just going to try this one more time. Thank you for waiting. I only just thought of this idea and it could be a complete bomb. Right, we'll see. So let's count this out. So 2, 3. Oh yeah, 3's like back there. 2, 3, 4, and 1. Wow. 4 and 1. I think it went like that. So 2, 3, 4 and 1. 1 is like back there. Whoa, shit. Then it flips the other way, doesn't it? 2, 3, 4 and 1. Let's try that. 2, 3, 4 and 1. Fuck yeah, that's it. Okay, cool. Right, so if that made any sense to you, it did to me. But the idea is that we've got a mathematical pi equation up in your hips. All right, so but it repeats, right? So it's not random. We're not just like throwing the hips out into the ether and being like, I hope you like my dancing. There's actually, a formula to it in a way. So forward on 2, 3 is going to be back, 4 and is back, 1 is forward. Then you repeat it. We're going to hit that 2, 3, 4 and 1. Did it hit the 1 back there? No. Yeah, 1 is back again at the end of that. So it's curving around. So if you can aim to sort of hit the numbers, but then curve and just see how it goes, you'll notice that you can only do, so that's 2 bars, right? What I feel when I do that is the first bar goes one way, the second bar goes the other way, and then it repeats, and it doesn't feel different. So the first one, the third one, the fifth one will be the same hip actions, and the second, fourth, and sixth will be the same, right? So meaning that it shouldn't be random. Like you're not like throwing them somewhere and then it goes back there the other way, and then like why not go there again, right? So again, why? Because we're creating fluid and smooth motion. In terms of the feet, just keep them flat. Lean up against the wall somewhere, and then where are we at? Lean on me. Lean on the wall. And then, because remember your poise? So remember did you forget your poise? You did, didn't you? You forgot your poise already. I can feel you collapsing, right? So helpful. You're welcome. You're welcome. Yeah, keep this going, y'all. Keep this going. Bookmark this shit. Come back, right? So listen, did you forget your poise? Because what'd you do? You sacrificed your poise for your hips, right? So you just went, I want good hips, man. Loose hips sink ships, all right? So posture, right? Get your weight forward. Bring it in now, there. Then do the hips, ya, baka, da, ja, da, da, and 2, and a 3, and a 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, sha, da, da. Right, let's do it to music, shall we? By the way, when should you do this? In the coffee line or in the bank line? Yeah, do it. Be that person. Got to get used to being just a weirdo. And then imagine how good you'll be on the floor if you don't actually care what people think. So, I'm saying that to myself, right? 2, 3, 2, 3. Right. You're going to knock some people out with those hips, people. All right, do it. Do it and practice it. It's going to be amazing. So the last little bit, you're like, there's more? No, there's always more. Those movements, just so you don't get smashingly overwhelmed, we use these movements at certain positions when we look at the walks we're about to do later on. So remember, we're moving into feet next. So you understand how to use the feet the best you can, and then we use the walks. Now the hip actions are going to be in a certain way. So for example, I'm going to settle and then step. That's going to be a constant thing. My hips also will rotate, right? So settling and rotation are not often separate. They come together, right? So we're not just like settling sideways. We'll settle sideways and move the hip back, and that will pull me forward. So there's actually a way that the hips, I call it like the joystick of dance. We can use the hips, and then in combination with the feet, it allows our body weight to move a certain way. And so that's why I want to introduce the hips to you now. Practice them, like, as I said, individually. When you then go to do your dancing, let's say you're a beginner, don't really focus so much on the hips. Do it, but really focus on good leg and foot placement. So leg action, meaning how we create a walk or a check, and then the foot placement. You'll notice when you do that, you'll be able to get the hips to then sort of layer on top and function together, right? Because they're not, you shouldn't treat them separately. So there's just sort of an order to it, right? And if you can have your body automatically a bit more looser because of the hip action, life is good. Now, remember I talked about the upper body? So if you're more advanced, right, what ends up happening is you start settling through your shoulder weight, like down. Now, my shoulder's not dropping, right? But the weight goes down through the shoulder. The rib cage moves back with the hips. So I wasn't doing that before, but just trying to get the right angle. So I can use the actual sides of my body, right? Yum, boom, and ya, da, da. So 2 and 3 and cha, cha, cha. So even though the shoulders aren't moving, you can see through the back, yum, boom, and cha, cha, cha. 2, 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and cha, cha, 1, boom. So that back action there, the whole rib cage, that's that upper body development. And that's what you move towards. You'll find, just try that. You might feel, I remember my ribs, I was like, oh my God, I got muscles right in there. And you're like, of course you do. But I couldn't feel them until I started doing this. And hey, my upper body was so stiff when I first did this. It took ages, right? This is why I stress to you, just do the damn exercise, right? Do the hip thing and it will loosen your body up, okay? All right, so keep the questions coming if you've got any. And thank you for the feedback. Let's rock on to the next. Okay, your feet. So I better get into the foot cam thing, I suppose, at some point. I set it up. I may as well use it. It's still on. Now, there's a few things with feet that we need to talk about. And again, this is a masterclass to work on particular foundations in lesson 1. So lesson 1, we are aiming for what? Poise, our hip action, of course, the counts. Now, when it comes to feet, the feet are the foundation of everything for you. So if your feet suck, unfortunately, you are going to be very, very limited. So for example, if you have weak ankles, like I'm talking baby giraffe learning to walk weak, you can't, you're on flat feet and you are like wobbling, right? You get onto heels, you're dead. This is a very common problem for women. Now, weak ankles often mean that there's an imbalance in the muscles. So somewhere in the feet, they might roll out more. And if they roll out too much, so let's say you step forward and they roll out, how on earth, it doesn't matter how good you look, how nice your arms are, how relaxed your body is, your foundation is cracked. And I'm not talking like a little crack, I'm talking a structural integrity crack that not even a structural engineer can fix. You got to just demolish the house and start again. You have to have really good articulation of feet. So this isn't just footwork. One of the things that's great to know about Latin dancing is that the difference in my head between ballroom and Latin dancing is there's so much articulation through footwork in ballroom. Now in Latin, we're not going as heavy on the footwork. So you won't hear me mentioning a lot of ball heel, ball heel. It's assumed we're doing that, right? And then that's what we do through most steps. We use the toe, of course, as well. So let's look at the beginning of this, I suppose, and go through the actual parts of your feet, okay? Welcome to your feet, ladies and gentlemen, okay? So let's have a look at the feet real quick. What have we got here? Do it with me. Outside edge, okay? Outside edge of toe, yep. Then what do you have? Inside edge of toe, there. See that turn out? And then we have, ready? Whole foot, ball of foot, toe, okay? Toe obviously turning it out, and then ball heel, all right? So that's the parts of our feet. I don't think I missed anything. Shouldn't have, but in terms of terminology, right? Now, those are the parts of our feet we use. So it's assumed when we're doing certain movements, you know, for example, when I go forward, and we'll talk about this in the walk in a second, that I'm gonna use, you know, a toe then a ball heel, for example. If I go to the side, it'll be like ball heel or ball flat, right? We say ball flat more than ball heel. And so that's assumed. So we don't have to mention on each step. I found in ballroom that it's often very important. And again, for those who don't want to dance well in ballroom, I say, know your timing, know your steps, as in like left foot forward, right foot to the side, but know the heels and toes for those. So like heel, toe, toe, heel. You don't need to say that in Latin. What we do is we practice doing, say, rumba walks, rumba cha-cha locks, things like that, basic movements like we're doing today, and it just becomes ingrained. But here's what I've found as a problem as a beginner. You end up taking the ballroom stuff and putting it into the Latin unconsciously, right? So what will happen, for example, you've come out of a waltz lesson and then you go forward in the cha-cha using your heel, which is a complete travesty, okay? You, no, don't do that, right? Naughty feet. You cannot do this. What it also means is that you don't understand how to use your foot and your knee properly. So that's exactly why we're doing today's lesson. You guessed it. So the good thing is with the footwork, we sort of put it aside a little bit. What we look at though is articulation of the foot. So this is where, depending on your age, your skill, and your goals and your outcomes, and by the way, most of this is still geared towards social dancing in a way, is that you want to have a nice range of what's it called? Movement within your feet. So just do some little light ankle circles, please. Right? Do this under your desk if you're sitting there doing a cheeky little watch on the live and like you like just got a little earbud in, you're like, yeah, I'm working on my ankles. That's right. And go the other way. All right. Do this before you like walk in the studio. First thing you do, just like start rolling out those ankles, baby. Right? Start getting them feeling good. Okay. Then do the knees a little bit as well. Woo! Right, get those knees in there. Be like, Vaughn, you got some tight jeans on today. I'm like, sure do. Just showing your legs. Showing my legs. Okay. Be weird if they were tights though, wouldn't it? So we want to feel this. Okay. Now, what we can do is a little exercise because I've got a few things to talk about with feet in terms of the way we use them, which will help you like nothing you've ever heard. If we look at the use of the feet, you can point it back. Now, here's the thing. That, if I get half body back on, is inside edge of toe. Okay, there. See that? And then what I want you to do is to settle it and bring it forward and point it to the outside edge. Didn't quite get that alignment there. There we go. Boom. So inside edge of toe. So that's a toe, by the way. So you can see it's collapsed. And then outside edge. Okay, and then you can just close the feet. Try on the other one. So point, outside edge. Maybe I'll do it there. Okay, bring it back and there. Inside edge. See how my thighs turned out? Right, so that there is going to help you understand where the basis of, say, a forward walk movement in rumba cha-cha will come from. Now, in terms of, so we've got a little warm up and just a little light stretching of the foot going back and forward. Let's do 5 of those together, yeah? All right, so from here, I'll get you to just poise. I saw that. I know what you did. You collapsed already, didn't you? So we want to hold this up. Okay. Oh, I just remembered something about poise. So while you're still here, here's a little tip. Try this, right? I want you to get your feet apart, okay? And I want you, once you feel like you're in the right position, drop your groin muscle to the floor. Like, let it go. All right, now, run again. Okay, put your arms up, okay? Drop the groin muscle again. Did you notice how heavy your arms just became? That is why it's very important to have the correct pelvic position, because as soon as you drop that groin muscle, you get heavy, that tension carries through into your partner. Little side bonus there. Okay, let's do 5 of these on each leg real quick. Okay, so from here, so back, so probably find the right angle, I reckon, there. Okay, so from here, we go 1, then back, 2, and then again 3, and then 4, and then 5. Okay, then close, just the other leg here, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. Okay, so that's a nice little warm up after you've done your little ankles. Okay, so next bit. Tracking. Woo, my load. Okay, we're going to look at tracking and also turnout of the feet. 2 very important things to note. When I'm moving forward in terms of actual movement, again, this comes back to your ankles. If they wobble too much, you're going to die on this. So if I move forward towards you, okay, my legs need to be able to track, meaning they should come past. Now, they don't literally come past and then move out, but they can't go out like this. See how my leg line looks ugly? right? So this is why I wore the jeans for you all. So that I can bring this foot through and it tracks, so I can transfer the weight at the end. Now then that foot will do the same. So I want to bring it through, right, first on the toe, and this is going to get into the walks, blends it with the walks anyway. But what I'm aiming to do is make sure that there's still two lines of movement. So you can conceptualize for a minute this idea of, whoop, come on, you can do it. We'll try one more. There we go. Two tracks of movement, right? Now, if two tracks cross over each other, that's when you start to create locks, right? When you cross over. So what we aim to do is to keep two tracks of movement that aren't like too wide. And that didn't work, but that's, you get the idea. So in your brain, you can conceptualize this by going, all right, my legs are here. I'm not going to go out there and then out here. So by having your feet collect when you do a walking action, and then sending it straight forward, you can transfer and receive the weight. You can also, get ready, your hip action can work properly now. Because if for example, if I go out here and I'm not tracking, I can use my hips a certain way, right? So you can still use them, but the look is going to be different, isn't it? So if I'm walking out here, look at the difference, right? If I do like Cuban action, it's like, well, it's a different look, isn't it? So you might want to do that in, I don't know, in a step, like you might want to get something funky, right? But in terms of movements like basic walks, we want to keep two tracks. So why? So our posture and weight can transfer effectively and life is good, man. I got balance. I'll be like, my day is nice. If my feet zigzag, and again, we're not talking about advanced dancing. I'm talking zigzag. So if I go over here and then I bring the foot in and go over here, well, first of all, you'd be like born, looking pretty sultry right there. I'd be like, thank you very much, right? I teach a lot of women. But I won't do that as a man. The point is my weight will get wrong. Like my weight will zigzag. You understand? So this is not good. So the tracking is important. So even though my feet are turned out, and yes, it's good to turn your feet out on walks, the idea is that when my foot comes through, if I was to straighten my feet, you know what, again, this is what we're now getting in the foot camp, right? So look, I'll show you something. So if my foot turns out, yeah, okay, if I turn them back, two tracks, booyah, right? But if that turns back, it looks like one, and that's what messes a lot of people up. Two tracks, one track, two, one, two, one, right, get it? There. Now what happens is I can transfer, and then this foot can come through, yay, two tracks, one track, two tracks, no. But you see the idea? It looks like, it's a giant illusion, isn't it? Dancing's a big illusion. So what people might see is they might see that and then think, oh, my feet have to cross over. So they'll go like this, bang. Now look at this. I'll turn them and I'm in CBMP, right? And now my weight is going to die. And so, again, not talking about high level dancing, people who develop their dance to a level they can do all that stuff, right? And have balance. Point is that's how we work and function with basic things. Now let's talk about turnout. This is key. Turn out. Think about ballroom, what we did with the pie. Okay, where am I going? I'm going to stay in screen. Okay, so turnout. How much turnout? I'm going to ask you questions in the window for those who are still here. If you haven't fallen asleep, it's difficult, right? I look at the camera. Camera's got no love. It's just a blank screen staring at me. I can't tell if you're there. So let me know what you have any questions about, if any, at the moment, okay? Now, if we look at turnout, how much turnout do we have? So think about your little pie again. Divide that bad boy up into 8. So this here is your 1/8 of a turn right there. Wow. Okay, so from the center to there is an 1/8 of a turn. So your feet are closed. And this is what's really good. I'm just right on the screen. There we go. Right, that looks terrible. Let me just do that again. Very quickly, circle, cross. All right, there's your 1/8, yeah? Right, so 1/8 is there, here. That's your 1/8. So from center, there's an 1/8. All right, now, what we look at doing, if I just clear this one more time. I'm sleeping. I never realized that the feet are lined up in a way, walking in a straight line, so cool. Yeah, what's so I'm saying, I'm gonna drop the knowledge bombs on you for, that's why following me is a good idea, guys, because I will give you the stuff that I'm sure, one, people may not know, two, may not be taught because people can't be bothered, three, it might cost you a lot to learn, and I like to shortcut people's learning so I can get to the real meat and potatoes, which is like developing your dancing. I love that. Okay, so what was I going on about? 1/8 of a turn, my friends. So let's say this is your stationary position. You are starting here. Your feet are completely together. Woo, that's a foot, and that's a foot. Woo. Okay. The maximum amount of turnout is 1/8 of a turn. Holy fuck, that was not a shoe. Oh, fuck. Okay, anyway, this person's got like elephantitis, yeah? So just have sympathy. Have sympathy for fucking both those ears. Anyway, look. Anyway, Dumbo on crack. So, central, maximum turnout. That's it. Do not do any more. Do not turn your feet out anymore. You're hearing me, ballet dancers. I'm looking right at you, you ballet dancers. You know what I'm talking about, and you're probably laughing, Jacqueline, because I called you out live. But if you turn out into first position, your hips can't work as well. Okay, now do that. Oh my God, I'm going to be old man knees right now, yeah? Okay, so feet together, yeah? Do less turnout, yeah? Do a little less, actually like real less, and then try to move the hips. Notice how restricted the knees feel. Now go to about 1/8. I mean, there's differences of opinion. This is my opinion. It's a very strong one, right? Right. So 1/8 of a turn, this shit functions so good. Yeah. Now we're going to talk about this in the walks in a second with what to do with the feet, because you can't just live in like duckland with your feet like this the whole time, right? That's your maximum turnout. You use it on your checks and your back rocks. Any movement that stops, a New Yorker, a spot turn, a turning forward walk, that's your checking action, yeah? And now do that, put the feet about shoulder width and notice, woo, those hips, they're singing, the thighs are working. You're like, this is a glorious day, right? And again, where are you now? You're in the coffee line still, just being like, have my latte. All right, so feel that. Notice your connection to the floor. Bang, that's awesome, right? You can start to be like, oh my God, like I can move foot to foot. I'm using pressure through the floor. I'm coming back out into my legs. It's like a relationship now. It's like, look, we're next level floor. We are way more than just friends, aren't we? So we're getting that working, boom. Turn the feet in again and do it. I hate life. We just broke up, didn't we, Flo? You don't like me anymore, right? So you want to make sure there. All right, that feeling. So 1/8 of a turn, sorry, 1/8 of a turn is your maximum turnout, okay? Just because you can doesn't mean you should. All right, why did I change the screen? Okay, let's look at what's the least amount of turnout. So again, with our feet with no disease. Oh, I can change color. Can I change color? Let's find out. My life just changed. My life just changed, and my foot became very ugly. So dancers' feet are not exactly foot models, you know what I mean? So I'm just going to try to go like a 16th. Okay, 1/16. Okay, that's your minimum turnout. So as a dancer, you get to choose how much turnout should you do. So if you're doing a walk, not a walk, but let's just say your feet are to the side. Okay, that's about a 16th there. See that right foot? Not parallel. This is not good. So, and again, depending on the figure. So I've got rules for this that really do help. So if I'm going to turn like a New Yorker, I want my foot to do 1/8. And you see that in the technique book. It's like on the preceding step, you start to turn your foot out, it turns your body. Now you can step through with another 1/8 of a turn, but your foot is doing the 1/8 as well. This is what we call a check. I'm getting into the next lesson too early, but this is the idea of the foot. Now, if I go forward and I turn my foot out 1/16 of a turn, this is a problem. This is what you guys are doing, right? You're going like this. You're going, cool, I understand my steps, and you're going forward, foot's parallel. Wrong. I'm going forward, my foot is there. Wrong. All right? 16th of a turn. Wrong. Right? It's an 1/8. Okay? It's do an 1/8 every time. No exceptions. When you go backwards, okay? Feet are parallel. Wrong. Right? Wrong. I love life. Life is good. Okay, and then you can naturally lift that heel. So I hope it's making sense that the foot placement is one thing. The turnout of the feet is literally everything, because it does connect to the Cuban action. So if I'm going forward in a check and I do a turn in, oh, I forgot to do the wrong. Wrong! Fire, get out of the studio. You're not listening, right? So there. That, how on fuck's earth am I supposed to look any good or dance a hip action and not get an early retirement with a hip replacement? It's not going to work, right? So you have to remember, this mechanic is not to be a pain in the ass nitpicky teacher and say, look how smart I am. By the way, I didn't make this up. I'm just relaying it from the greatest teachers. That turnout works with the hips, yeah, and the leg action. It all combines to give you what? A solid foundation, bang, to develop your body. Because without the feet working right, and the balance, what happens? What happens? You suck, okay? Because you can't move your body properly. This is the problem we have. And so with the good foot placement and the taking the time to understand, am I checking? Am I turning? Am I walking progressively forward? Because progressive forward walks, you are not going to do. Now, this is speculative, right? So here is where coaches have differing opinions, right? But don't turn them out an eighth on each walk, okay? That's just shit. Like, it's too much. Now, you might be a lady doing that. I'm not saying that. I'm saying as an advanced dancer, it's one thing. But you turning your feet out that much, think of it mechanically. When you go forward and your foot turns out like that, it like arrests your legs, right? It's really traps your thigh. Feel it, right? If you can't even do it that much, you'll notice it, right? So the point being is that vary between that 16th to sort of towards the 8th. When you walk forward, you'll be great. A bit of turnout's great. There used to be a school of thought that you just keep them sort of straight and parallel when you do progressive walks. It's, in my estimation, just make them turn out a tiny bit, find your balance line, but for fuck's sake, don't zigzag, all right? I have to say that because the zigzag is so real, and part of it is because the feet are taking over you, right? You're like putting them forward in the wrong position and then turning it out too much to compensate, right? And so now you zigzag and looking like you're drunk. It's like, wouldn't that be fun? At least you'd have some like enjoyment today. But if you keep the tracks going, find the optimal turnout without it being too much, you'll start to notice you can transfer, and the hip action works, okay? Because it relates, doesn't it? So how cool is that to know? So this is why the feet are so, so important. Okay, foot placement is one thing, which we'll get to in a second. The turnout is another thing, and then what? The tracking. Now there is a final thing, you're like, dear God, but again, it's the foundation. So, you know, it's slightly important, don't you think? All right, the Latin cross, woo! Okay, how we doing here? Fundamentals I've been setting aside. Don't worry, it's not just you. You know, I appreciate that. That's also the way I turn in horror. Ah, you are a snobby dancer like me. Fantastic. Yes, I love the schmarminess of dance. It's like I feel like I should have a port to just judge people's feet all the time, right? It's like you call yourself a dancer, look at that footwork, right? Despite their body's amazing, right? Anyway, so Latin cross. What's a Latin cross? Can you do one? Tell me. Just Latin cross, ladies and gentlemen. So a Latin cross is very important because we use it all the time. So we use it in locking actions in cha-cha. We use it, say, in vaulters. We use it to get into, I don't know, ending positions. We use it in tops, right? So there's multiple times this occurs throughout the dance. And of course, going into the chasses later on in another lesson, we're going to look at how we actually lock. The Latin cross is the thing. Now, what is the Latin cross? Very simply, literally just cross your feet. Here we go. We're going to do it like this. Right. So let's do it the correct way. So again, feet neutral. So take your left foot and turn it out. Take your right foot and then place it on the toe, right? Just there for the moment, in a line with the heel of the supporting leg there. That's a Latin cross there. The knees in this movement or action would be touching and slightly flexed, right? So I want to, right? So there, I want to, okay, yeah, that was so awkward. But you can see my foot is not turned in. That's sickling. This is naughty, right? This is too much turnout, you goddamn ballet dancer, right? So there. All right, so there's a line I can draw like amazingly between those two. Again, that's too tight. Now, how the thing about a Latin cross that's important, by the way, you're doing it on both legs, okay there. The thing about a Latin cross is the width of this depends on the figure, the stature of your legs, male or female, right? So a lot of ladies get super tight. They might do a whisk and they're like super tight, right? One of the things that I found that helps with the placement is understanding your knees. So for example, if I'm getting my toe turned out and then so let's say I'm just crossing here, but I want to go tighter and then my knee does this is not good. This is a bad plie. Ballet wouldn't have you, I won't have you, dancing will not have you, right? This is not good. Look at this leg line, right? So you want your knees to be able to touch. So with this action, if I come closer, I can come closer, but I don't vary the knees to do that, yeah? So the Latin cross does depend on the figure. Toe is one thing, ball of foot, but the idea is that it's lining up with that heel. And that's the thing you aim for, just regardless of the width. Okay, so when you do a cha-cha chasse, going forward, say a lock, right? I want to go 4 across my supporting foot, 4, Latin cross, see there? Boom. And then I can come out 1. So, yeah. And so I'm creating the correct position. The Latin cross is like, I've added it in, so it's something I can refer back to, and you can also refer back to it as well, because it is obviously very, very important. Now, great, we've done everything we need. Hell yeah. Okay, stay with me. I told you this would be a monster. And for those who think I talk too much, get the fuck off my channel, all right? Because I talk a lot. And I'm giving this to you for free, okay? Tell me someone else is giving you this much value for free, yeah? So feel free to support my wares, okay, when they come out for sale. And I want to see you improve like you wouldn't believe, all right? So if we could please look at the next part, let's hit this up. Are you ready? Because it's going to be dope. I can't wait to do this. The walks. Again, I feel it's better to do this in rumba as a first lesson, but I guess we'll get there at some point. So the walks are literally coming from rumba, all right? So we're looking at the idea of two things: how we use the feet, the leg, and the hip. 4 walks that we're going to look at doing. I'll put them on the screen just so we can all bring it together. I ran late today because the technology failed. My camera completely blew up. I'm using my phone. The quality is awesome and it hasn't died either, so yay. Please, questions, answers, comments in the window. I'm going to bring up this little thing here. There's 4 types of walks, right? These are the key. Oh, whoopsies. Right. Forward, walk, the checked, forward, walk, and then 3, did that go in there? Forward walk, yep. And then the forward walk, can you guess this one? Turning, okay? And then 4, the backward walk. Note those because your fundamentals in like the technique book actually come off that. So most of the time, this is one of the cool things I learned. I learned this way too late, to be honest. Like I made so many mistakes. I wish I was always reading and studying these books, right? But combined with competing, which is a different discipline, and the teaching in between that, I do wish I understood some of this a little earlier in this detail. So this is again why I like to teach this now, so you get a real head start. If you can break down your movements, if you break down your movements, yeah, and break them into these isolated ideas, and then they basically make the entire dance, right? So how cool is that to know that you have 7 walks basically in dancing? Here's the 4 that you need to know. The other ones we use occasionally for certain figures, but these are how we do everything. So think of rumba and cha-cha as fancy ass moving walking dancers with locks and chasses, right? And of course, fancy turns, but turns, most of the turns, not spins, turns are forward walks turning. Haha, right? So let's look at the idea of what we do with each of these very quickly. Okay, so when we look at the forward walk, let's look at the feet to begin with. So if I'm going forward, man or lady, you're going to use the toe first, all right? Then the ball of the foot. So you got to pick the knee up to do that. The hip then settles. I use the toe, the ball, and the heel lands at the extent of the stride. So note my body is not over the foot yet, so I'm not doing this. Once that happens, whoom, I hit that position, I can then transfer my weight from the back foot to the front foot, okay? And then, start again, bring the foot in, outside edge of toe, bring it through, and then step off again. And again, there will be varying degrees of like technique on this, but that's how it's sort of laid out there. So that's your forward walk. So let's do one of those just together. So take your right foot, probably here. Okay, so just point your right foot, take it back, and then bring the foot through from, now this should be the outside edge of toe, not a toe, that's a toe, right? So turn your thigh. As you go into this next part, bring it through, toe, come through to a ball, let the heel hit, that's the stride, and then push out of your back, ball of foot, to the outside edge of toe again. You see that? Now, when you do that, the hips will rotate and pull the body over the leg. So this is where the hip action combines into the walk, right? So we end up going through using the center of our body, so the hip itself, it sort of like pulls us over the leg in combination with the back foot helping you. So here's a good thing. You want to use both feet for balance, right? If you say my balance is not good, you'll note that maybe the back foot isn't supporting you as much because all the attention goes on to like like a toddler, right, who's screaming. So which is your front foot. Your front foot's getting all the attention because it's taking all the weight, right? The back foot though, feel how much it stabilizes you. All right, it's like it's like the platonic friend who never has the balls to say he likes you, and he's just there the whole time. And you know, he's like, yeah, I can stabilize your life. Please love me. And the front foot's like, no, no. So you want to feel that back leg there, push, 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 push. You can't see it, but that whole time, the way it's peeling and licking the floor, right? Thirsty for scraps, push. That thing is supporting me so much. Now, if I don't do that and I just project my weight, like I'm going to lose my balance, right? So this is the thing about using both feet properly. So even though I'm in my 2 tracks, okay, when I come forward, boom, 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 toe, ball, heel, I've provided reception for my weight, and now I can transfer, and the back foot helps me. With the combination of your hip action that you end up working on over time, because that takes time, right, to do that. Bum, 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 bum. Back foot, hip, all right, they work together. So that is the essence of a walk. Basically, we'll go back into that rumba and do the same thing again. The upper body has a whole bunch of shit it does with that, right? There's a settling action, there's a rotation in the hips. There is a lot going on. But again, beginners, you just got to get your walks to go in. You got to walk forward and not look like a donkey, all right? So you got to walk forward in a nice line. Don't worry so much about your hip action, but with balance. This is your goal. It's like, can I get the foot to work properly? Can I walk and keep my balance? Can I do this and be like, nice, that was good today. I'm happy I did that well. One thing about the actual movement itself. So if my feet are here, I turn the back foot out by pressing out of that back foot. In terms of, what was I going to say? It'll come back to me, but that's all right. Oh, you can try this actually as an exercise while I'm thinking. I'll let my subconscious deliver my answer. Okay, so put your weight, part weight in the middle, and then just feel your body pushing out of the back foot to your front foot, and then lower the back heel again. That's what I was going to say. Thank you, subconscious. The extent of your stride is dictated by when you transfer if that back foot slides. So this is what you try to find, your maximum range. So if this is too short, when I go to use my back foot, you'll see this is very hard to, it looks so bad, right? So also too big, right? Like this is way too big. And it's like, look at my walk. But if that back foot drags, the step is too big. That's what I wanted to tell you. Okay, y'all are doing good. The platonic friend thirsty for scraps. That's exactly right. That's how we look at it, right? At least in my mind. Okay, my friends, never put yourself in the friend zone. You demand better, gentlemen. Okay, so when we look at this, we did the way that you have basic information, but it's so technique heavy and so good is amazing. That is incredible teaching. Oh, thank you. I didn't know, and it's awesome. Yeah, dope. Appreciate that. See, that's not, I can actually teach how to do this sort of frameworks, but it's first principles thinking. That's the best thing to go from, and then you can build up, right? So forward walk, bang, woo! All this shit for a walk, right? But it's great. Why is my phone ringing? That would be awkward, wouldn't it? Imagine my phone ringing. It's like, just using it, hold on. And then like, it's like someone complaining. Okay. Checked forward walk. Let's rock this one out together, shall we? I never realized how long these things go for, but I should know myself by now. What's the Greek saying? What is the arch of Apollo Delphi? Know thyself, right? Like carved into the top. Probably butchered that name. Anyway, the checked forward walk. Let's do this. How much turnout do you make in your feet? Tell me, quick, go, bang. 1/8, yeah? So the checked forward walk is not the same as the forward walk. So the forward walk, we're committing our weight right to the end, right? Like that platonic friend who was like, I am going to stay in this friend zone for like 30 years until I get my chance when she's divorced, right? So now what we're going to do is take this forward leg, we're going to turn it out. Your weight stops in the middle. Part weight, who was here at the beginning? Do you remember when I talked about part weight, minimum weight, full weight? There you are. What you do though here is most important. You tuck that back knee into the front knee. I'll say it again. You tuck the back knee in the front knee. This thing is going to fuck you up. Excuse my French. It's not very French, it's more English, but that is hard. I forgot to do this for like the first few years of my dancing, and I always struggled because I treated my check in, say, fan or New Yorkers as a movement like this. And I could never come back because I didn't bend the knee. So I always found it too hard and too fast. You ever had that? You ever said, Chacha's too fast? No, your technique isn't there, right? The technique is rubbish. So what we aim to do is get that knee to bend, because this is part of how you move a leg, right? You turn the foot out at 1/8. As soon as the heel, bang, hits the floor, you slap that back leg into the front knee like a good first date. We go, whoop-bang. Okay, that's your check. Now, if you collapse, this is a different look, isn't it? It's not wrong. It's like you might do that in a step. That's fucking dope. You know what I mean? Like you're like, what's up? I'm doing like some woo. That is not necessarily the check action we're aiming for, right? So we want to make sure that that leg, okay, turns out the back knee touches the front one, that left hip comes up. That's the check. So what happens to the back foot? Believe it or not, it actually turns. There's that 16th. So it goes to the toe. And then you put the back heel down. That's a replacing action there. So this footwork is really, really, really important. Let's show you up close. Let's show you up close. Yeah. So from here. So got my foot action. What's up? Turn out. Back knee in there. Okay. So again, not trying to make the step too big, and also making sure that I don't, sink into the back leg too much. Right. So maybe from here. Okay. So again, there. Boom. So the back, note the back toe. So it's not turned out. That's important to note because that rotation allows your left hip to go up a little bit. Now, where is that actually done? It's done, we'll go here again. So, boom, there. So that checking action is done on your gentleman, like if you're in fan, that first step. If you are going to a New Yorker, that's your check, all right? If you are going into, not the spot term, what I was gonna say, your basic, which we're about to do, that's where we do this action. One thing I'll help you conceptualize here is the idea of your body. So let's say you've got your foot there and there, okay, like that, and that's your upper body. You want to feel your weight, say like 60-40, maybe 70-30. But realistically, you need the line, your vertical line of balance, which you should know from all these lessons, being, if that's your foot, and let's say a toe, that's a heel, you actually want your line to be like behind the heel, okay? That's how you know. So, I'll just get rid of all that. Tap, 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 so many taps, back taps, back taps. Back out, back out, back out, back out, back out. Like when you told that friend that you were platonic that you liked it. Fuck, don't say that again. Right, there you go. Right, so we go there. Okay. The weight is over there. See my line from my head down? Where is it? If you drew a line to my heel, it's just behind it, isn't it? It's not over the heel. So I can still do that over the heel. And that's sort of up to you as a dancer in a way, but it's not back here. Anyway, that's our forward check. Let's look at the forward walk turning, boop, boop, because I'm going to be 72 by the time I finish this lesson. So let's get into the forward walk turning. So if I go into a turn, the rule is to step and turn. The rule with a partner, ladies, is you never turn yourself if you're in hold. You never turn yourself, right? So to do both of those correctly as the man or lady, you have to place your foot properly first, like a walk. So toe, ball, heel. Then when the weight transfers, you can start to create your turn, all right? That's our forward walk turning. So where is the forward walk turning used? Spot turn, Alemana, for example. It's not a spin, and we consider them a forward walk still. That's then generating a turn, okay? And then we can move into, say, a backward walk. All right, so that's the idea of this movement, forward walk turning. So these things will come back up. Again, I'm just prefacing this for when we start doing steps in more detail. So as an example, all right, let's use our right foot together. And I want you to step on the right foot for me and just go forward into that little track. Actually, we won't go in the track. We'll step across our line. All right, there. Right now, when that heel goes down, begin your turn. You can use your head and your upper body. There, that's your forward walk turning. And then you'll now know you've got the weight on the right leg. You can then move off into, say, a backward walk. Right, let's do it towards you again. So I'll bring that leg across a little bit, whoom, and then turn on that foot. Now let's go the other leg. Let's use the left. All right, so left foot across, and then I'll create my turn. There we go. Let's go towards you now. So left foot across a little bit, boom, and then turn. Now note something here about the tracks. My feet can still track in those two bits. Isn't that dope? So that's how you look. The good thing is if you can measure it, you can master it. T-shirt. If you can measure it, you can master it. And that's, you want to go slow with this stuff. You notice this, if I do my turn and I come out of it, my foot's side and slightly back, I can now bring my leg underneath for the next part. Yeah. Which brings me into the final bit, which is our backward walk, all right? Because we have to talk about that. So when you do a backward walk, what are we aiming to do? We first go back Where are we? I need some water actually. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, ball and toe. So we're using the ball of our foot to go backwards. If you're liking this, leave a comment, leave a like, leave a share, check it out. All right, join the channel, support the channel. It's 99 cents, boost it in the algorithm. Okay, when I go backwards, if you go forward, you go on the toe. When you go backwards, you use the ball first, then the toe. Now, here's the thing about both movements. Any movement, you need to anchor yourself on the supporting leg as much as you can. So you don't move the foot and the body at the same time. Either way. Yeah, when I go forward, I don't move the foot and body at the same time. So when I go backwards, and this is what gives you, think about it, gives you ultimate control, right? If I'm on this leg and I can move any direction off there, I'm a very happy man. Okay, I'm in control today. If I fall everywhere and use my foot to catch me, I'm in trouble, right? So listen, I go back on the ball, then the toe. This knee, the right knee, notice it's bent. Now the step is not very big. When the heel goes down, I then put the weight on the leg. That's a backward walk. And this heel, the front one, naturally lifts. Doesn't matter what leg you're using, but we'll use the right today. Okay, so as I go back, now if I go too big, remember what I said about how to know your stride? So just because I can do it doesn't mean I should. If I put that heel down, watch what happens. See that slide? Now I might do that for a dramatic effect because I'm feeling a bit, over the top. And I might be like, yeah, today's all about drama. Very different though, that's not a backward walk, right? So that's like an extended backward walk to be technical, right? So if I went, again, boom, just to there, ball, toe, then the heel, bang. And again, so from here, see how I'm picking it up? Toe, ball, then the heel. Then I can transfer. By the way, the hip can then displace at the end, meaning it just goes out and doesn't get dislocated, very different term. Boom, toe, ball, heel. And I'm very slowly backing out of the friend zone. I don't know where this came from. Bye, guys. Thank you for coming. Okay, so those walks, notice they're not the opposite of a forward walk, right? The way I move. So as I go, oh, what's up? Thanks for becoming a member, Chrissy. That's dope. I'll put that on there. Follow her lead. Follow her lead. Okay, so that's dope. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. That's really cool. So from there, toe, ball, heel. Yeah, that's your backward walk. Again, try it again. Support your life on that right foot. There. And then toe, ball, heel. Got it? That's it. How dope is that? You guys can walk really weirdly, okay? If you just went through the coffee shop as you after, bang, there you go. So listen, let's put that together and understand how it starts to go. But there's one more thing we need to do, and that is the chasse. So if we just keep this in the forefront of our mind, right? Because we're going to do this though. Who likes a good list, right? Satisfaction, satisfaction, satisfaction. Yeah, for crossing the list. So what do you have? Forward walks turning, backward walks, and forward checks. Keep that terminology in your mind because I'll show you just to make sure you're not overly overwhelmed. If we do a basic movement in our cha-cha, forward check, backward rock, or replacing the weight. Then we'll do our chasses in a moment. Okay, backward walk. Okay, replace the weight, cha-cha-cha. If I do a New Yorker, forward check again. If I do a spot turn, either way, forward walk turning. Okay, so these are where these movements are actually in your dancing currently. Okay, so let's look at the next part, shall we? It's amazing. I'm running so over time. To any of my members in the members area that I'm about to do Q&A with, I am deeply sorry for being so late. I will make it up to you. So, the chasse. Okay, first of all, we have 10 chasses in cha-cha. Say with me, 10. Chasses in cha-cha go sideways, left and right. They turn, that's how we do our basic, we're gonna do. And then, of course, they're compact. We have ronde chasses, slip chasses, hip twist chasses, all very advanced ones. But fundamentally, the ones we care about are 2 chasses, and they are the time step and the closed basic. So the side chasse, which we're going to use, which will help our New Yorkers, and then of course our chasse that turns, which is in our closed basic movement. So this is don't worry about the names if you're getting confused, but let's work on the chasse together as an idea. So if we're looking at the chasse itself, a chasse means to chase. We're going back to that example again. That's right, platonic friend. Stop chasing, okay? No chasses that way. Chasse on the other way. Move on. How do you chasse? It's a great question. There's two ways. Basically, the main way that we care about is the social way, the easy way, right? The way that will transfer our weight the most comfortably. When you look at dance sport, you're going to see all sorts of like all sorts of development, articulation, and personality. Don't worry about those. We're looking at literally the easiest way to do this. And so what you do, close your feet, go to the side, ball flat, close halfway, ball flat, ball flat. That's your chasse, right? Again, ball flat, ball flat, ball flat. Now here's the main thing to understand. When you do the chasse, the knees, here's what not to do. Straight leg, straight leg, straight leg, you pony, right? You want to make sure you go to the side, soften the knees, yeah, in the middle. In fact, here's the thing about the chasse. If I go sideways, all right, so we'll talk about how to move there in a second, but when I move into that leg, why am I going the wrong way? I don't know what's happening. I'm like mirrored anyway. So from there, side. That left knee will be bent. The right one comes in halfway. Both knees are now bent without changing height. Do not change height. Then to move off, straighten the right leg and then move to the side and put that heel down. So the weight goes like down into the floor and the hip goes out. So if I break this down again, because the chasse is actually it's a little tricky actually to get the mechanic. But first of all, to move the leg sideways, let's do this together. We'll go through a figure. So I'll move into the side step. So to do that, we're going to settle and rotate the left hip and then go to the side on the right foot straight away. Boom, the hip goes there. Now change weight on the spot. So it goes left foot, ball flat, then right foot, ball flat, and the hips change weight. All right, so that's our settling and rotation action. Now go to the side, ball flat, the left knee is flexed. The right knee is now flexed, hips are neutral, you haven't changed height. Now straighten the right knee, notice the hip rotate to the right, and then you can take that left foot and slam that shit down and the hip goes out because that's count one, that's your accent. All right, now if we do it again, right foot, and note the knees and hips, so straight left leg, bent right leg, ball heel, then the right leg is straight and the hip is back, the left leg is bent, then ball heel on the left and the hip goes back. That allows you to move to the side. The main thing is the chasse. I bend the right knee a little bit, I keep the left one bent, hips are neutral, both knees are flexed or compressed, straighten the left knee, and then come out and finish with an accent. Now I'm going sideways here. When we do the turn, we just got to pay attention to where we place our feet, but it's the same action, right? You're going to need to go back through that. It is really wordy. A lot of words just came out that sound really smart, but it's hard to conceptualize, right? So let's look at that in a bit more detail. All right, so from here, so we'll go to the side. 1, so 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1. Okay, we'll do this way. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, and ya da da. Okay, the size of your steps, they say it's not the size how you use it, right? The thing is, the size of your steps matters, guys, right? It does. It does. You can't go ba da da on your chasses, shoulder width, right? Why? Because then you can remember the count lesson we did? So we have a whole beat of music. What do you fill that beat with? Do you fill it with A, gigantic movement, because you don't have the discipline to try and control yourself? Or do you fill it with body rhythm and movement? That's what we're going to do. So if I take a slightly smaller step and go to the side like 1, and my step is not huge, I can now use my body over the rest of that whole beat. So I can go 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, ya da da. You see what I'm saying? Feel that? Because if I go big, I can't do that because I'm taking the time between the beat to fill it with giant steps rather than smaller steps, meaning smaller base and body rhythm. You see what I mean? Now, if we can use the knees properly, it also starts to restrict the size of your steps as well. So this is the thing that I trouble got long legs. It's easy for me to move, right? But cha-cha is, I should have really started the beginning with the lesson with a bit of an overview of what cha-cha is. But It is not a progressive dance. It doesn't travel everywhere. It is staccato. So it's non-progressive and staccato. Staccato is stop-start, like tango. Ba, 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 ba. You should not be moving the feet the whole time. It's ba, 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 ya, da, da, shup, ba, ba, and yak, da, da. You can make it fluid. So with that in mind, right, our little chassé is going to side, compressed in the middle. So here I'll just frame this as the rule. Your chassés, meaning when you're two, so there's 3 beats, 4 and 1. So 3 beats, oh, sorry, I should say, sorry, 2 beats. What am I doing? 4, 1, 4 and 1. 2 beats, 3 steps. That's what I was meaning to say. 2 beats, 3 steps. Okay, that looks like weird ET phone home hands, right? But 2 beats, 3 steps. When that happens, anytime there's that 4 and 1, you're going to have a chassé in cha-cha. Yep. You're going to have a locking action, which is a chassé. You're going to have a closing action, which is a chassé. The knees will be, say it with me now, compressed. The knees will be compressed. The knees will be compressed. You will not lose height. You will not lose height. You will not bounce. You will not bounce. Okay? So you absorb it by using the hips, that flexing action. Okay? Bum, bum, ba. Okay? Now you want to aim to have the knees the same sort of flex. One last little thing. So if my knees are in the middle of a chassé, okay, here, boom, to move left or right, if I'm moving to the right, my left leg straightens. If I move to the left, my right leg straightens. That forces the hip to go back. That is what look at that rotation, right? That's when I start to get the hip action coming in, yeah? So that's how it comes together over the sort of grand scheme of all of this. So if you combine this with understanding your walks and checks, and your replacing actions, you start to see these chassés are like the thing you want to really do well. And where do you do them? In the kitchen, right? Do them in the kitchen without the boiling water near you, okay? And then practice the transference of weight. Really get into slow motion, like feel how using the leg properly, rotating the hip pushes you to the side, right? And again, if you've been practicing the Cuban action, you'll start to notice that kick in pretty quickly. All right, so now let's talk about turning chassés, all right? Because oh my Lord, I love this, guys. This is great. Slightly panicked, I'm a bit late for my other lesson, but and no one's come in yet, so we're just gonna keep going. Okay, we're just gonna keep going. We're gonna finish this off because I have to finish it. What are we doing here? So side chassé, and then 2 turning. Oh God. Anyway, I and G. Anyway, turning chassés, right? So the turning chassé, this is your what we call our closed basic movement, or the closed basic movement. So you will all know this is it's your first step. So we go check forward on the left foot. Just do it as the man and lady with me, and I'll dance it this way for the moment, right? So I go the correct way. Excuse me. Let's just clear that screen. Okay. So now we've gone 1. So here's our turn. Check forward, rock back. The left foot will go side and slightly back. Cha, cha, side and slightly back again. Notice my direction. The lady can come in front or the man. Now, if I go backwards, there's my backward walk. There's my replacing movement. And now I take my forward chassé, side and slightly forward. See that action? That's actually the basic. It turns. Now it's so easy, and I am guilty of this. I did this I do this, right? Like depending on the class, but like a basic first time class. People just do the basic like this: rock, rock, da da da. Keep it square and linear. Very easy to learn, but it actually turns. And how much turn? Half a turn per basic. So there's 1 basic, and there's the second one. And I come back to where I was. So you do 360 degrees. The thing about the turning chassé that matters is, first of all, the actual chassé itself does not go sideways. It goes side and slightly back. You close, as I discussed before, and then you come out. When you go the forward half, you go side and slightly forward. Okay? And that's how you'll turn around each other. Here's a tip for getting around each other properly. When I'm the man, I'll probably just replace the weight back, but my left side turns. Then I can move that foot very easily, so easily. It's the same as the lady, by the way. It's not indifferent. It's the same technique. When I go backwards, I'm just getting a nice backward walk. Hip goes back, right, to place the weight. I replace the weight forward, but my body is turning to the left. This is how I can get myself. This is not a check, by the way, so it just looks like 1. I'm just turning there. Now, I can go side and slightly forward, but here's the thing. Cha, cha, cha. When I dance with a lady, I would like her, if I'll be the lady here, okay, get my hands on, get my hair, right, so back, rocks, the lady goes side and slightly forward on this example. Here, you will need to move that foot just a little bit to aid the turn to go slide and slightly back. Let me explain that with a bit more foot detail, right? So we'll just talk about the backward part. So from here, okay, here. So I check. Now, rather than just replacing the weight back, I'll take that foot a little bit this way. And then it's easy to go cha, 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 okay? You'll notice when you're with a partner, if you that is where the breakdown will be in your turn. It's right at that point where the man is rocking back, the lady is coming forward, and then you've got to come around each other. Okay, so there's 2 steps we just did. This is going to end our lesson that we're going to dance together. Yay. Oh my God, checking, yay. We're going to do this. Do it. Do it, yeah. They say be your own best friend, don't they? The life of a creator. Okay, so let's look at this gigantic lesson coming together with a pattern. Shall we do a pattern? Okay. Huge, huge day. So we're doing 2 time steps and 2 closed basics, then we'll do it to music. So follow me. Let's go, let's go. Here we go. And so you got your posture first and your poise. Did you already forget? Or did you just like slouch over because you're tired, right? Get your posture, get your poise. All right, step to the side. So we go, I'll go through the steps and the timing. So we go side. Now, close the left, close the right, chasse to the left. Close the right, close the left, chasse to the right. Close the left, close the right, chasse to the left. Close the right, close the left, chasse to the right. 2 closed basics. Check forward, replace the weight back, chasse to the side or to the left. Back walk, replace the weight, chasse to the side. And repeat, check forward, rock back, chasse to the side, think diagonally back. Rock back, so backward walk, replace the weight forward, chasse to the side, okay? You should be back where you started. Now, let's count this. Here we go. So 2, 3, 4, and 1. 2, 3, 4, and 1. And 2, 3, 4, and 1. Last one, 2, 3, 4, and 1. 2, 3, 4, and 1. Now, 2, 3, 4, and 1. 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 Okay? How'd you go? Yeah, let's do it to music. Let's go. We're finishing up. People coming in strong, coming in for a landing. Let's go. Let's train it a little bit, yeah? Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1. 2, okay, let's just stop on all that music. All right, so, holy Lord, what a day. You guys are amazing. Thank you. Thank you very much for staying here, being it, joining, being a member. That was a bit of fun, wasn't it? Keep that constrained, keep it tight. Last little thoughts, all right, before we finish up. Make sure you use the technique that best suits your body. So just be aware that when it comes to movement, your feet are sliding around everywhere. That's going to be a problem because the dance is a staccato rhythm. It stops and starts. You should feel the ability to have your feet be sticky, like you've put the little toes up in some honey. You're doing some Pooh Bear dancing, right? You're getting that feet in the floor, right? And then sticky, da-da. When you look at developing to a higher level, because some people might have a conniption about how I chassed, I didn't make this shit up. It's in the technique book. Go get one if you don't know what I'm talking about, right? Now, when you do dance sport, you're going to see a whole bunch of different stuff going on. It's a whole different thing. It's a different world, right? So there's differing opinions. There's different approaches depending on the coach's experience and what they want and what they're developing. So it's not wrong, right? It's just there is a foundation, and that's sort of where I'm wanting to build you all from. So at least when you walk in, you can be prepared to understand where the hell did that come from, okay? I want to thank you for being here. Tune in next week. Make sure you support the channel. I keep doing this for you. I love this work. It's hard work, it takes a lot of time, but I really love doing it for you to break it down. So if you have any particular requests or any thing you want to do a little bit more work together, visit boramastery.tv. I am very happy you're here. Thank you very much. Let me end this, and I will see you in the next lesson.